Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go Battle League battles. These battles are played in the Remix Cup. For now, at least, I've settled on a team. So, I am opening with Escavalier. I've been winning quite a few leads lately, so I'm not so sure this will continue to be a really good lead, but for now, at least, while we are early in the season and the meta is kind of still shifting around and people are trying to figure out what to do, this has been working really well for me. I have Shadow Golbat in the back along with Froslass. There's not really a designated safe swap. That's not really how this team is built. It's more, if you get a bad lead, you switch to the thing that is less hard countering that thing. That way you still have a hard counter left over in the back for when they inevitably switch out, which will almost always happen. So I really like Escavalier for this meta. It has pretty reasonable play against nearly all of the top picks. Like, Diggersby's Fire Punch doesn't one-shot, it just does like, I don't know, 85%. So you can survive one Fire Punch, not with a ton of health. It's definitely not an amazing lead, but against a lot of the other things that are pretty meta, like Mandibuzz is, you know, not a one lead, but it's not a terribly lost lead either. And Mandibuzz tends to end up being paired up with things like, not really fighters because we don't have a ton of options for fighters, but, you know, fighters and pseudo-fighters that can handle Mandibuzz's severe weakness to, like, steel types and, you know, tankier leads. So I like Golbat. I liked it as a lead for, I think, Open Great League pretty recently. In one of my recent videos, I had featured it, and I liked it here a lot also in the back. It's been serving me really well. Most of the time you do end up just poison fanging things to death, but the threat of the Shadow Ball, you know, comes in handy a lot, and sometimes you do end up actually getting to land it. So this matchup, yeah, did not go my way. I got baited in the very beginning with a Thunder Punch and then Hypno landed a Fire Punch, but I actually go on an 11-game win streak here, spoilers. So, Tropius lead. My opponent switches into Registeel, which also, very much not an Escavalier counter. I'm inclined to assume that this is like a Tropius double steel line or something, because if this was a balanced team, probably wouldn't have switched out to a Registeel. Like, the only reason I can think of that would prompt that would be, you know, that they are running an ABB team and want to drag out a harder counter to Registeel if I happen to have one. I don't. But recognizing that Tropius doesn't really have any play against anything on my squad either, I decide, you know, it shouldn't make that much of a difference. Let me just, you know, stay in with Escavalier, and I'll just switch in Golbat when it feels convenient. Because Golbat can tank a Flash Cannon from Registeel and, you know, just have built up some energy. Switch clock was almost up, so I switched it with enough time to build up some energy. He caught a Shadow Ball on an Obstagoon, so yeah, team triple weak to Escavalier. Just going to Poison Fang with my Golbat. Not going to shield anything. And yeah, he has to throw energy at some point because Golbat will just end up being able to farm him down otherwise. So let that go, bring in a Scav. I can no-shield this, can survive a Cross Chop or a Night Slash without any real difficulty, and Obstagoon goes down. So there is still a Tropius, which I can demolish with Froslass. Tropius takes double super effective damage from my Powder Snow. And Registeel comes out. I switched into Froslass, which is definitely the wrong move. Should have just stayed in. But I'm just going to build up some excess energy and throw my Avalanche right before he gets to his next Flash Cannon. If he had caught there, it might be kind of a problem. But since he didn't, no problem. Just taking Tropius out. And that's GG. So, next up against Devoto Friedgold. Escavalier into Jellicent. So Jellicent looks like it would be really, really terrible, and I mean, it's pretty bad. Jellicent individually beats everything on my team. Like, Froslass has some play, but you have to bait at least. Have to be able to bait Avalanche and land the Shadow Ball. And if I switch in there, they'll switch out into a harder counter. So best to just stay in with Escavalier. At least that's how it's worked for me so far. I've stayed in with Escavalier, and it's been not horrendous. If they were to bait Bubble Beam, that would be surprising, but pretty bad for me. because then they would be able to outpace me. I get to my Drill Run here before they throw their next Shadow Ball, since they were going straight Shadow Ball. Get the last shield and throw one counter, and they decide to throw their energy here. And that's fine with me. Shadow Ball will take Escavalier out, and I'm just going to come in with Golbat and Wing Attack the whole way down. Take them out before they get to another move, and yeah, Golbat has plenty of energy to start with. So there is an Obstagoon in the back. That's probably what would have come out if I had sent out Froslass, so maybe that wouldn't be so bad, because Obstagoon would take out Froslass by using some energy, and then Escavalier could come out and farm down. It wouldn't be that bad, I guess. But just going to absorb this move, and yeah, Wing Attack him the rest of the way down. Obstagoon will go down before it's able to get to another Night Slash, and my opponent resigns the game. GG. I think I've seen this Jellicent team before with Obstagoon. I believe there's a Nidoqueen or a Shadow Nidoqueen in the back. But, like, that varies. So, Shadow Nidoqueen in the lead. Nidoqueen is fantastic for me. Everything on my team beats it. He's opting to throw here. If we just raced straight for our big move, Escavalier would win CMP and throw the Drill Run and take Nidoqueen out, so he opts to throw the Poison Fang first, so that he can at least debuff me, and then he shields here, and throws this next move, which I think can also only be another Poison Fang, so I'm going to absorb that just fine. Throw this Drill Run right before he gets to another. And yeah, I get another shield there. So at this point, I'm like, okay, something is amiss. I'm just going to switch and catch this next Poison Fang on my Golbat. Absorb that, and there's an Abomasnow back there. So that's fine. I'm not able to throw this Poison Fang before he reaches his Weather Ball, so I'm just going to let that go. And I was thinking about bringing a Scav back in, but it makes a little bit more sense to save a Scav and his energy and just send in Froslass, because here I can build up excess energy. He decides to throw here as soon as I reach my Avalanche, and I'm going to no-shield this because I'm confident it's just a Weather Ball, and it is. So that goes through, and now I'm going to throw this Avalanche here before he gets to his next Weather Ball, so I don't have to absorb that damage. So still have two shields. I have a Froslass with some energy, and an Escavalier with not a ton of health, but energy. So I'm in a very good spot here. Whiscash comes out, and that's fine. I'm going to throw this Avalanche. And I get another Powder Snow before he tries to throw his move. He had undertapped to get there. That isn't what he should have done, because he's definitely going to lose one like that. I built up a little bit extra. I could have just thrown the Avalanche, but I don't know. I felt like making a catch. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's even a flex, because, I mean, I have a shield and everything. It's just... yeah, not sure. Not totally unnecessary, but that's all right. I built up to back-to-back Avalanches. I'm just going to throw that Avalanche, take out Nidoqueen, and now throw this one next Avalanche, and take out Whiscash. Still have a shield left over, and plenty of health, given that neither of those Pokemon can really farm Froslass that well. But GG. My team is just really tough for his team to beat. So, next up against Tony Cozy. Escavalier into Diggersby. So, this is not that good for Escavalier. Trying to switch out and catch a move is pretty risky. I switched out at 6 because I figured they won't throw right away, but they'll throw before I get to a move. And yeah, Diggersby comes out, or Golbat comes out, and they just Earthquake me right off the bat. So that's... okay. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang because I actually can't really do any damage to Diggersby with Golbat. I was anticipating him switching out, but he decided to stay in. So that tells me that he doesn't have a really hard counter to Golbat, so I'm going to shield this next Earthquake, which doesn't feel great, and there's Mantine back there. So I'm going to go straight Shadow Ball here, because I don't actually know the Shadow Golbat into Mantine matchup yet, and it does that much. So would have been fine to throw a Poison Fang first. I'm going to no-shield this, anticipating that it's a Bubble Beam. I think that's actually all it could have been. And I'm still going to be able to get to this Poison Fang. If I could have gotten to my second... or if I could have gotten to the Shadow Ball, that would have been a lot better, but I wouldn't quite make it, looks like. But that's alright, just going to bring a Escavalier out. So I'm not in an amazing position, but Diggersby has taken quite a lot of damage, and it ended with no energy. So thankfully, since Digger didn't hang on to energy, when he comes out, I am going to throw this Drill Run, which would take him out from this point. So whether he shields or not will tell me how badly he wants to take out Escavalier. And since he clearly really wanted to, because he shielded, I'm going to shield this Fire Punch. He'll get to his next one in just 4, but he switches out to transfer that that counter, and that's a good move because he would need that health to be able to reach a the Fire Punch. So I opt to stay in with Escavalier, and I'm just going to let him take me out with Earth Power. If he throws Earth Power right away, then he can KO Escav. Otherwise, he would, and if he throws Earth Power right away, it'll leave him with so little energy that he won't be able to reach an Earth Power against Froslass. So Froslass will just Avalanche, take him out, and now I can just Powder Snow Diggersby down because he's not going to be able to reach an Earthquake. He's still 2 or 3? Still 2 Mud Shots away from it. But yeah, so take that. It was a 4 out of 5 set. I get a Deoxys, which is fantastic. That is exactly what I want. Going to not catch it on the first ball, so we'll just advance until I do catch it, probably 5 minutes later. And yeah, going to claim that and go up to 28-26. I started these sets down at 27. I had tanked quite a bit for Go Battle Night, but I feel like Go Battle Night was a success. I managed to do all 20 of my sets for that day in that 6-hour window. And I made 438,000 dust, and yeah, got 4 Deoxys encounters, so I would consider that a success. So that's why I'm kind of low right now. I had tanked specifically for that, because if I had tried to play it at 3,200, would definitely not be able to finish my sets for the day. Like there'd be absolutely no way. I would only be able to do maybe 4 or 5 sets in a 6-hour period. So my opponent swaps this into Stunfisk, and I threw some of my energy with Escav before switching out to Froslass because I can absorb Stunfisk's energy on Froslass. It's not too big of a deal, and I just want to end kind of low with a lot of energy. So this was a perfect time to switch Froslass in. So now I'm anticipating Mandibuzz coming back in, and I'm spamming out the Avalanche. And that's a mistake because he actually sends in his own Froslass. So because I threw this instantly, they can pretty comfortably no-shield. Correctly calling that. I am going to be able to reach a Shadow Ball, and I do throw that here. So at least be able to pick up a shield, but now this Froslass is going to end with a lot of energy, and that's a problem for me. So I still have my 2 shields. I'm going to send in a Escavalier and just straight throw the Drill Run. This should get the last shield because they wouldn't want to let all that energy go to waste. And they throw more Powder Snows before reaching. They catch the... Oh my gosh. They make an amazing catch on their Mandibuzz. So this Drill Run is pretty much wasted. I still have 2 shields, though. I'm going to switch into Golbat. And I'm just going to throw my Poison Fang right away. So this Mandibuzz is low enough that I can Poison Fang here. And at this point, I need to farm down because I need to come out of this matchup with a Shadow Ball loaded. And the reason for that is because Froslass has 2 Avalanches already loaded, but no shields. So I'm not going to be able to save both shields for this matchup, but that's okay. As long as I save 1 shield and have my Shadow Ball ready, I can throw it. I'll lose CMP to Froslass, but my Shadow Ball will fire after their first Avalanche, so they won't be able to throw their second one. Their second Avalanche will end up going to waste. So just shield that, and then my Shadow Ball fires, and that takes Froslass out. Managed to take that game. GG. That looked like I was in a pretty precarious position at one point, and I guess I definitely was, but just having shields and managing your energy just right was enough to bring me back in that game. Okay, next up. Escavalier into Nidoqueen. Again, Nidoqueen, fantastic for this line. Loses to everything on the team. I get 3 free counters in because my opponent lagged a little bit in the beginning. That's unfortunate for him. I'm going to throw this Mega Horn before I switch out. This will either do so much damage that I can stay in and counter the rest of the way down, but if they end up shielding, then I'll switch out to Froslass, and I'll be able to throw this Avalanche. And if they no-shield it, they'll be in Powder Snow down range, which that's what they opt to do, so I can no-shield here. If I had wanted to shield here and stay alive, it would have actually made sense to shield the first move, not the second, because there's always that chance that you could run into a Mandibuzz running Shadow Ball instead of, a more standard moveset. When you're in specialty cups like this with any kind of restricted meta, you can expect some people will be experimenting with other alternate movesets. So actually, since I was planning to stay alive with my Froslass, I should have shielded the first move. It didn't end up changing anything in this matchup, but it could have, and that's just something to keep in mind. So there's a Dewgong left over, and since there's also a Nidoqueen back there, Escavalier will definitely be able to take both of those Pokemon without too much difficulty. Just going to throw this Mega Horn here to do more damage, and that should put him into almost farm down range, but since I've already been debuffed, Dewgong's able to survive, and he's able to reach yet another move. I know this is just going to be an Icy Wind, so I can no-shield this. And just switch into my Golbat. I could have stayed in with Escavalier and farmed up a little bit of energy first, or even just have thrown the Drill Run, but since I was already debuffed, I wasn't sure if Drill Run would have KO'd after I've been double debuffed. So I felt it was just safer to switch out to Golbat, no-shield the first move, and if it's Poison Fang, they would still need to throw an Earth Power to take Golbat out. Golbat only single resists ground. But yeah, wasn't able to reach it anyway. Was pretty sure he didn't have enough energy for that, but even if he had not lost those 3 fast moves in the beginning, if he had more energy, he still would have been able to safely take that game following that map. All right, Escavalier into Dragalge. So Dragalge, it is just 4 Dragon Tails to reach the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail doesn't hurt that much, but it does, hit Escavalier for neutral, and Escavalier's not that tanky. So I have to throw my Drill Run here. And I get a shield. So I have decided that I am going to just shield this move, and I will throw my next Drill Run when Escavalier is really low. Because I don't want to be in a position where if he decides to let it go, that something can come out and farm a lot on me. I want him to kind of be encouraged to shield the Drill Run because my Pokemon doesn't provide useful farm. So, he elects to take Switch Advantage instead, which is fine for me. I'm going to shield this move because, I don't know, it just felt like Froslass with energy would be enough. Didn't feel like I would need that much, Froslass doesn't have that much health left here if I had no shielded the Aqua Tail, but I don't know. Probably didn't make much of a difference here in this game. I throw my second Avalanche right when he's about to reach his Night Slash. Takes Obstagoon down, and there is Nidoqueen left over in the back, and I'm just going to Avalanche Nidoqueen, and that will take Nidoqueen out from here. Right? Yeah, one-shots, even though it's non-shadow. So yeah, just very clean Froslass sweep at the end. If you watched my Caleb Pang Challenge walkthrough video, you know what a deadly closer Froslass can be. All right, Escavalier into Machamp. This is a terrible lead. Machamp outpaces and outdamages Escavalier pretty substantially. I no-throw with Froslass, anticipating he's going to try to make some kind of a catch, and he does. Brings in Registeel, and that's, a Froslass counter, but since I already have all of this energy loaded, it's not really that terrible. He gets to his Flash Cannon just before I reach my next Shadow Ball, so force a throw right away and end with no energy. That's not great for me. I'm going to have to counter the whole way down, and since there's a Machamp there with energy loaded, I elect to no-shield this, and it is the Focus Blast. It does a lot, but I have some energy. So I basically have only Golbat left over to deal with Machamp and whatever else is in the back. I was anticipating Machamp coming out and just insta-throwing the Cross-Chop to force a shield out of me, but he did not do that. Very clever. Brings in Mandibuzz instead, which is, a pretty decent counter to Escavalier with no health, because everything's pretty decent against Escavalier with no health. So this is not great. Actually, it looks really terrible on paper. I'm going to shield this move because I have to, or I have to shield something. Golbat doesn't have enough health left for this anymore. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang here. I'm one wing attack away from my next Poison Fang, so I'll be able to get to my next Poison Fang while he throws that before he's able to get to his next move. He now has a move banked, and could definitely trade shield with me, but he elects to just let Mandibuzz go down and bring out Machamp. And that leaves kind of an opening for me. So I'm going to have to shield this Cross Chop. Even though I double resist Cross Chop, not able to survive it from that health, I get Escavalier in and throw the Drill Run, and for whatever reason, this Machamp is throwing energy here. It must have thought that I was at back-to-back, so throws a Cross Chop to take me down, and now I'm going to bring back Golbat, and I fast move deny just right. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang. It's going to lower Machamp's defense, and that is going to enable me to just barely wing attack the rest of the way down before he's able to get to his next Cross Chop. GG. That was really, really close. If my opponent had just farmed Escavalier down, would have been a very different game. All right. Escavalier into Froslass. So this looks like it would be pretty decent for Escav, but it's really not. We both are single resisting our fast moves. I would not survive a Shadow Ball from Froslass, so I'm going to shield, and they actually Avalanche baited me, which is hilarious. Going to throw this Drill Run, it hits for neutral, the Mega Horn is resisted, so no reason to throw that. I get a shield, which tells me that they really want to get rid of Escavalier, because if they let the Drill Run go, they might end up in farm down range, so I'm going to no-shield this, and it's another Avalanche bait, so good no-shield on my side. And now I'm going to throw this Drill Run as they are reaching the energy for their next Avalanche, and they let it go, and I managed to take them out right as they are getting that last bit of energy. So Diggersby comes out. I'm going to throw this Mega Horn. Mega Horn hits for neutral, so it does a decent chunk more than the Drill Run would do, and I'm just going to stay in and do my counter damage. So he has a Fire Punch loaded. I bring in Golbat, and I'm going to no-shield this. If it's an Earthquake, that will hurt a little bit more, actually, than the Fire Punch will, because Fire Punch is just not that great of a move, and it doesn't get stabbed. And there's a Whiscash left over, so that's fine. I'm going to throw my Poison Fang so I can start doing more wing attack damage, and I'm going to try to switch out to catch the Blizzard. If they end up baiting and this is a Mud Bomb, that is also fine, because they would just still have to throw 2 Mud Bombs, and it would take more energy to get to those 2 Mud Bombs than it would take for me to reach 1 Avalanche. So I'll at least be able to force the last shield out of them if they want to stay in and throw this next one. Since I was able to sneak in a Powder Snow on my switch in, or when my opponent was throwing his moves back-to-back, which is why I don't usually recommend throwing back-to-back, throw 1 move so that you can fast move deny properly. Just increase the chance that your opponent won't get a free move in. Was able to push this into that, and yeah, now I just absorb that Mud Bomb, and I just need to throw this Poison Fang to take Whiscash out before they reach the Blizzard. If they threw up until then, it would have definitely have just been a Mud Bomb, which I would no-shield. Because at this point, the thing that will do the most damage is actually Diggersby's Earthquake. But yeah, it's clear because I still have a shield, and he's not going to be able to reach 2 of those, that I'm able to take that game. GG. So there we go. 5 out of 5. After the 4 straight wins on the last set, I'm actually at 9 wins in a row. I get a Ninetales, which is sad, because it's not a Deoxys, which is all I want. Next week, there will be Mewtwo, which also a thing that I will want from my rewards. Alright, next up, against Mo8899. Escavalier into Golbat. This is really bad. I'm insta-switching to my own Golbat, and he actually brings out a Whiscash, which it looks like it was an insta-swap, so I'm not too sure why he insta-swapped out. That tells me that this is most likely an ABB team, because, I mean, Golbat already has a pretty good matchup against Escavalier. Whiscash can beat Escavalier too, but, like, it's not as dominating as the Golbat matchup is. So, I actually correctly shield the Blizzard, which is fantastic. I knew they would probably anticipate me saving my shields, since, Escavalier doesn't seem to have a ton of play against everything anyway. So I actually did shield because I wanted to save my Golbat. I had correctly baited and then landed the Shadow Ball. So as far as baits and calls are going, this is going really well for me. I am going to throw my Shadow Ball as soon as I have it. I should have really thrown 1 wing attack extra so I could fast move deny so my opponent wouldn't get a free wing attack in, but I don't know, just was getting too excited about trying to land this move. And I am going to shield here also, which is a questionable play. There's a Typhlosion back there. So fire is pretty bad for Froslass and really, really bad for Escavalier. So I'm going to land this Poison Fang. It does quite a lot of damage. Going to throw my wing attacks and throw this Poison Fang to CMP tie him, because I thought he was going to throw the move right away. And now I'm going to switch out to Escavalier, and I'm able to counter down because he threw another Incinerate, and Incinerate takes so long. I was able to get 3 counters in. So yeah, I transferred the damage from 1 Incinerate onto Escavalier and then ate the second one, but I got into the 3 counters that I needed to. Was able to wrap that game up. GG. That was wild, but my 10th win in a row. So, alright. Escavalier into Escavalier. So my Escavalier has, for reference, very good IVs. It is the rank 5, but it doesn't change the Escavalier mirror. I just don't hit any breakpoints, and I'm still not able to survive 1 extra counter. Like, he fast move denies, I don't get a free counter in, and I fast move deny here, and he doesn't get a free counter in. But we are still going to end up being simultaneous KO'd by the same counter. So I actually opt to switch out and catch the Drill Run on my Golbat instead of staying in and trying to win CMP. My opponent switches into Mantine. So this is not that bad. Since I have experience from my last matchup of Golbat into Mantine, I decide to throw the Poison Fang first, and I actually get the shield, which is amazing. So this is coming out kind of early. If it turns out to be the Ice Beam, fine, it'll take me out, and I'll just come in with Froslass, and I'll be able to reach a move before he's able to do more than just Bubble Beam. Since he Bubble Beamed me, I'm going to be able to reach the Shadow Ball, and it lands. He's still going to be able to reach another move and take me out just before I'm able to Wing Attack the rest of the way down, but that's fine. I'm going to let this go. And just bring in Escavalier, get one counter in before the bubble lands, so I haven't taken any new damage on my Escavalier. If he brings in his Escavalier, we will end up simultaneous KOing unless I throw a move. I decide to instead switch to Froslass at the last second and snipe down so that I still have a move loaded on Escavalier and can throw something, whatever it is that comes out. But I don't get to find out what that is. Managed to take that game. GG. All right, next up against Wally Dog. Escavalier into Jellicent. Again, Jellicent is pretty bad for my team. I decided to stay in with Escavalier. It turns out to be the Bubble Jellicent, which is better for Escavalier than the Hex variant. If I had insta-swapped to Froslass and it turned out to be Hex, it would be pretty bad for Froslass. Going to end up shielding this first Shadow Ball, and that's fine. That's going to enable me to reach this Drill Run as they're getting to their second Shadow Ball. If they throw right away, then they'll have the option to shield, and I have the option to mirror shield. They don't. They were trying to sneak in an extra bubble. That's fine. I'm going to shield here, right? Yes. It's another Shadow Ball, and I'm going to be able to reach this next Drill Run. If they baited me at any point, this would be way worse for me, but, I mean, baiting against the Escavalier, so is the chance I would no-shield and reach another move anyway. And yeah, they throw only one extra bubble before throwing their energy, and they could have farmed up a little bit more. That's another Shadow Ball, and I feel like the Water Gun would have, the Bubble Beam would have taken me out. So this Jellicent is probably actually running Ice Beam. Built up some energy on my Golbat. There's a Mandibuzz back there. So that's not amazing for Golbat, mostly because, I can double debuff him so that I can actually win this matchup. But in the process of doing that, I would leave Golbat really, really low, and, he would be able to swap something in and clear his debuff. So that's why I've been building up extra energy on Golbat before throwing. But if I had just spammed out my Poison Fangs faster, I think I would have actually just been able to straight win this matchup, Golbat into Mandibuzz. But again, it's very hard to know when your opponent will end up just, switching out into something to clear their debuff. I don't know what else he has in the back. I switch in Froslass, and that seems like it may have been a mistake because there is a Clefable back there. If I had just let Golbat go down, or even switched Froslass in earlier and drew out the Clefable, would have been able to take this game, but it just barely didn't make it to the Poison Fang, and my opponent manages to charm down my Golbat. GG. Ruining my win streak. I was at 11. Alright, Escavalier into Slowbro. This is unusual, I think, but who knows what's going to turn out to be meta. So it is 5 Confusions to the Psychic. And I think it's also 5 Confusions to the Water Pulse, if I'm remembering correctly from when I played Slowbro in the Love Cup. I throw my Mega Horn to CMP tie with him, so if he wants to shield, I will just Mirror Shield, that's fine. Escavalier will clearly outpace Slowbro. 2, 3 Confusions, and I throw here with 4, and I tried to Fast Move Deny, and he snuck in a Confusion anyway, so that is unfortunate for me. I think the Drill One would have KO'd from this range anyway. So I am going to shield here because I don't want to take all of that confusion damage on my other Pokemon. I'm just going to throw this Drill Run in the middle of his confusion at the very last second before I get KO'd. And this will KO Slowbro from this range, and now I don't have enough health to really provide that much farm. Turns out to be a Beedrill back there, so that's fine. Golbat is a pretty decent wall to Beedrill regardless of its moveset. My opponent switches into Froslass, but too slowly. He would have to instantly swap to Froslass to be able to outpace Golbat to the Shadow Ball, because it's 8 Wing Attacks to the Shadow Ball for Golbat and 7 Powder Snows to the Shadow Ball for Froslass. So yeah, because he let me get 2 Wing Attacks before he swapped out, there was no chance he was going to make it. Would have had to catch the Poison Sting. Would have had to catch the Poison Fang on Froslass to leave me energy drained to have a chance there. Alright. Escavalier into Registeel. So, this is pretty good for Escavalier, but not super dominating, because if Registeel just stays in, they can Focus Blast and do tons and tons of damage. We saw that earlier. Switches out to a Dragon Breath Shadow Gyarados, which is wild. I throw my Poison Fang as soon as I can. And I could shield here to ensure switch advantage, but I thought I was going to survive this Aqua Tail with enough health And even when it hit, I thought I was going to have enough health, and I just barely didn't make it. Gyarados survives with 1 HP. Gonna bring Escavalier out and counter down, but I have lost switch advantage, so we'll see how impactful that is. There is another Dragon Breather in the back, a Dragonite. So this is Registeel double Dragon Breath. He's gonna shield the Mega Horn, which is rough for me. Really feel like I should have baited there. I bring Froslass in and get some farm before he decides to switch out with a ton of energy. I'm gonna throw this Shadow Ball against this Registeel when it comes out. And yeah, even though this Registeel started at full health here, if I'm able to land a second Shadow Ball, it will take Registeel out. I'm going to shield this. Flash Cannon would KO from here, and I don't really have that much health on a Scav. I'm going to throw this Shadow Ball. So, Dragonite has a lot of energy, but is actually low enough that he's in, like, Mega Horn range. I decide to shield Froslass here, and this might be a mistake, because he's going to switch out here, and I need to, like, I thought that I was going to be able to, you know, survive this Dragon Claw and still throw a move, but he actually throws the Draco Meteor, which is nuts. And I'm 1 slow. I should have thrown my Drill Run 1 counter earlier. It would have KO'd, and I would still have been able to reach another Drill Run against Registeel, but I thought Registeel had more energy than it turned out to actually have. Like, after I went back and watched this, I can see that I definitely botched the execution there. It needed to throw earlier, because I could have KO'd Dragonite and still went ahead and, you know, just countered Registeel down, reached my Drill Run before he reached a move. But yeah, minor misplay there. Just, you know, in the moment, sometimes it can be hard to determine how much energy your opponent has. It's easy to forget that when there's been a lot of switching. Still managed to go 3 out of 5, so all positive sets. I had another 2 positive sets after that I'm not going to show you because this video is long, because all my videos are. But yeah, that's the team that I have settled on for now. It's made of a lot of Pokemon that I've enjoyed using in the past for mostly the same reasons that I like them now. Mostly neutral matchups, you know, don't get hard shut down by a lot of things. So you can wiggle your way into a lot of wins if you play the team, if you finesse it correctly. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to do the things that you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know you're supposed to do them. Please do those things. I will catch you guys on my next video.